Tell me what it's like socially right now for you.
Yeah. So, like I said earlier, I am fully verbal at college. It's become like who I am. It's become my way of life to just be verbal, just because it's been a couple of years since I've kind of reached the point of being like fully verbal with strangers and all of that. So, when I came to college last year as a freshman, I made it a huge goal of mine to just start talking to people once I got onto campus. And I shared this a little bit in my YouTube channel, Instagram account, but long story short, once I got there, I just started talking to people and I never really looked back from there. But I sort of made the most progress like summer of 2022 and leading up to that summer. So going into that summer of 2022 was when I really started talking to strangers, and I would practice going to stores and just going to restaurants and ordering food, asking questions to employees, things like that, just small exposure practice instances. And I think that really helped me kind of get that experience of like talking to people in everyday life. And I think that just snowballed over and over again. And it came to the point where I was just so comfortable talking to strangers that it was just second nature at that point. So yeah, once I got to college, it was natural. So I've never really looked back since then.
I was going to say, sounds like you've never looked back, that you've really been able to do it. So here's a question that some people ask is, now that you've overcome SM, are there any struggles that you have at all in terms of kind of social communication at all? Do you feel you found your voice, you're done, you know, you just don't look back, like you said? Are there areas or times that you feel that kind of anxiety come back at all?
Yeah, for sure. I still have a ways to go in fully overcoming selective mutism. There are many people back home who I still don't talk to, who I'm still not verbal with, who I'm still like good friends with, and I'll see them when I'm back home for breaks. I'll hang out with friends who I am not verbal with when I'm back home. So I think when I'm off on my own out in Raleigh or wherever, I am fully verbal, but back home there's still plenty of people who I'm just not at that point yet. So there's definitely still some anxiety and I guess a little bit of tension, just not being fully verbal with everyone yet. But at the same time, I am definitely content with where I'm at in the sense that I've sort of started my own independent life out at college. So I'm not as worried about talking to some of these people back home as I probably would have been a couple years ago, just because I don't necessarily see them all that often.
So, how often did you use the RSA when you left camp? Did you use it much at all?
Yeah, I used it a little bit in the months that were following camp. I used it to start talking to a couple of my close friends back home, and we would sort of go through different words, and I would just be in a one-on-one setting with some of my friends, and we would use the RSA approach, and I would just kind of use that sort of as a launching pad to use a couple other methods to start talking to them.
Yeah, I mean, the RSA was just so powerful for you and so many. I just remember that at camp. And I remember thinking that was a great strategy for you to, like you said, launch you to kind of bridge you from nonverbal to verbal. And as much as people go, oh, shaping sounds into words, like, why would a teenager do that? It's a cognitive approach and it helped you rethink about sounds and words rather than speaking, which was a fear. So, as far as your career now, you basically have the rest of your life ahead of you. You can live your dreams and do what you need to do in mechanical engineering. Very, very impressive, Nick.
Yeah, thank you. It's incredible to think about how far I've come and, how much life I have ahead of me of being verbal. It's it's amazing.